Monday edition of your breakfast on leadership inside Nigeria. Today is May 26, 2025, and my name is Winifred Gbebo, your host on the program. On this first segment of the show, we are looking at newspaper review, what the papers are saying, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. Let's see what leadership has today. Leadership's leading story says two shutdowns of Port Harcourt Refinery in 5 months raise questions. Two shutdowns of Port Harcourt Refinery in 5 months raise questions. Labour, CSOs, experts demand audits, accountability. Government not sincere, taking Nigerians for granted, NLC. NNPCL must account for turnaround maintenance money, CSOs. Access not supporting market expectations, refiners. These are kickers to the leading story on today, Monday, 26 May 2025 edition of Leadership. The leading story says two shutdowns of Port Harcourt Refinery in 5 months raise questions. Labour, CSOs, experts demand audit, accountability. Government not sincere, taking Nigerians for granted, LLC. And CSO says NNPCL must account for turnaround maintenance money. Refiner says access not supporting market expectations. Kickers to the leading story on today's cover of Leadership. We also have the picture gracing the cover of Leadership of the Katsina State Governor Alamdiko Rada led a top-level security delegation to Mahaba village in Matazu local government area of the state to conduct the on-the-spot assessment following a tragic bandit ambush that claimed lives of 5 community security watch corps personnel at the weekend. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Still on leadership, coalition, Atiku Amechi orders brainstorm with northern leaders. Shadow cabinet not overthrow government, Utomi clarifies. Diaspora remittances hit $328.8 million in 4 months. Debt gobs $2 billion. Esunupe allays fear of land grabbing. Leadership's leading stories today, Monday, May 26, 2025. And atop the masthead of Leadership, JAM data shows more candidates score above 300 in 2025 UTME. Dangote named most admired African brand, backs two more awards in Addis Ababa. The story continues on page 7 of Leadership. From there, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Today's stand is on the shadow cabinet, right? Pat Utomi, the shadow cabinet. Today's stand in Leadership newspaper. The formation of a shadow cabinet by Professor Pat Utomi has sparked a constitutional and political debate that demands careful consideration beyond the partisan rhetoric of both sides. While the initiative reflects legitimate concerns about governance failures, the federal government's swift legal response through the Department of State Services raises equally valid questions about the appropriateness of such structures within Nigeria's presidential system. This controversy illuminates the delicate balance between democratic opposition and constitutional propriety that must guide political discourse in any mature democracy. Now, towards the conclusion of the editorial today, Nigeria's challenges are too serious for constitutional technicalities to prevent substantive policy discussions, just as they are too important for political theatrics to overshadow genuine solutions. Opposition politics in presidential systems requires different mechanisms than in parliamentary ones, but the essential function remains the same: providing alternative visions and holding government accountable. Needless to say, Nigeria needs stronger opposition voices, but they must operate within constitutional boundaries that respect the separation of powers and institutional arrangements that define the system. Today's excerpts from today's stand in Leadership, that is on the shadow cabinet. From today's stand, we move to the back page of the paper where we have Monday column with Dakuku Side. Today's column Dakuku is writing on gatekeepers or spectators, National Assembly's 2-year performance gap. Monday column with Dakuku Pete side. We'll take a quote from that column. The optics are unmistakable. The legitimate has shadowed the role and now presenting the agenda of the executive. We are looking at the Monday column with the Kuku side, and today's column is writing on that gatekeepers or spectators, National Assembly's 2-year performance gap is actually writing on the performance of the National Assembly within 2 years frame of their tenure. In quote, it says the optics are unmistakable. The legislature has abandoned its role and now promoting the agenda of the executive. Now, before we leave the back page, let's look at Ghana Must Go. Damagu says, I'm not a prosy. And of course, Ghana Must Go replied them, you are just helping them. Yes, agreed, you are not its prosy, but you are just helping them. Well, that concludes the review of Leadership newspaper, front page 3, and the back page today, Monday, May 26, 2025. For continuation of those headline stories, don't forget to log into the website of Leadership. From Leadership, we move over to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian says, despite 7 trillion naira subsidy savings, states fail to cushion hardship, hunger. The story runs on page 6 of The Guardian. Despite 7 trillion naira subsidy savings, states fail to cushion hardship, hunger. The story continues, page 6 of the paper. Meanwhile, we have illustration beneath the leading story, and let's look at what this illustration entails. We are looking at 2 years post-fuel subsidy removal. 7 trillion estimated saved in 2 years of subsidy removal. We have FAC allocation. We also have inflation rate. We also have price per liter and exchange rate. These are captured beneath the illustration with beneath that leading story today. We have 44.6 million liters day in 2024 and 14.7 million liters day in 2025, talking about fuel importations captured in the illustration beneath the leading story on The Guardian today. Still on The Guardian newspaper, federal government unveils air cargo corridor, offers Nigerian exporters 50% discount. Finance and Economy, page 23, is where the story continues in the paper. 71% of rescheduled UTME candidates score below 200, says JAMB. Not holds key to solving Nigeria's problems, says Obi. Military destroys over 100 illegal refinery sites in 5 months. Wonkoba Adebayo blast APC's fear-driven strategy, urged Tinubu to govern. PDP postpones NEC meeting amid uncertainty over action against Atiku Wike. IPI flays Eno for removing Channels TV crew from Akwa Ibom's government house. The news runs on page 8 of The Guardian. Is on this note, we also conclude the review of front headline stories on The Guardian this Monday. For more, log into the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard is talking politics. It says anti-Tinubu coalition, Atiku will be others shop for platform. Anti-Tinubu coalition, Atiku will be others shop for platform. And the riders, Jigawa delegates disrupt coalition meeting. We will conclude talks in 2 weeks. Wosu ADC chairman. We are considering SDP or new party, Ado. Nigeria's problems can be solved from north. Coming from Obi, that is the Labour Party presidential candidate for 2023 presidential election. These are riders to the leading story on Vanguard this Monday. Anti-Tinubu coalition, Atiku will be others shop for platform. We also have the picture arising from that coalition. Yesterday, we have from led former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Peter Obi, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar during a high-level political coalition meeting convened by the National Political Consultative Group, NPCG, in Abuja yesterday. The caption for the story, or for the picture on Vanguard this Monday. Still on Vanguard, WAEC NECO release 5 years with head Zamfara results after government clears debt. WAEC NECO release 5 years with head Zamfara results after government clears debt. Tinubu's mining reforms attract $800 million foreign investment coming from the Minister of Solid Minerals, Alake. Federal government turns back 8 foreigners without visas. Crisis, PDP Wike at loggerheads over agreements. Makinde Mba betrayed our agreements, Wike. Agreements not binding on us, PDP. Osun governorship poll, we won't align with anyone, Aregbesola. And that takes us to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. 21,082 candidates absent as 99% scored below 200 in rescheduled UTME JAM. We have a book review, a book series in Vanguard today. Independent judiciary, an essential ingredient in free, fair elections. Lastly, on the cover of Vanguard, neither Buhari nor Jonathan had Nigeria's interest at heart in 2015. Coming from Lamido. Is on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on Vanguard this Monday. For more, log into the website of Vanguard. We have also politics cover story on the Punch newspaper. PDP boys as Makinde Wike battle for control. Saraki summons emergency meeting. BOT meets today. NEC meeting shifted. Leading story today on the Punch newspaper this Monday, May 26, 2025. PDP boys as Makinde Wike battle for control. Saraki summons emergency meeting. BOT meets today. NEC meeting shifted. Just by the masthead of the Punch, we have 2027 Atiku Obi Amechi Court Northern Power Block. UTME receipt 200,000 score above 200. The story continues on page 7 of the Punch. UTME receipt 200,000 score above 200. With that, we conclude review of front headline stories on the Punch newspaper this Monday. For more, log into www.thepunchonline.ng. Moving ahead, we move to the last paper we have on our lineup this Monday, and that is National Economy. National Economy is a sister publication from the stable of Leadership Media Group and is also a weekly business newspaper. The leading stories today says customs duty rates, vehicle clearance cost rises by 235% in 8 months. This week's leading story on National Economy. Customs duty rates, vehicle clearance cost rises by 235% in 8 months. Importation drops by 50%. Tackling challenges of infra costs in ICT is another story gracing the cover of National Economy this Monday. We move ahead to the stories about the masthead. Federal government bans cooking gas export to tackle price surge. Federal government bans cooking gas export to tackle price surge. And lastly, on the cover of National Economy, WFP halts local food purchases in Nigeria amid soaring prices. That brings to a close the review of front headline stories on National Economy, weekly business newspaper, stable of Leadership newspaper. Don't forget to log into the website of National Economy to read for more of the headline stories. And it's also on that note we conclude the first half of today's Inside Nigeria newspaper review. Please don't go away. Stay tuned for the second part of the program. It's coming in shortly.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Okay, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast from Leadership Television. Of course, in the first half of the program, we looked at newspaper review, what the papers are saying this morning. And on this second part of the program, we are throwing more discussions on some of the trending issues. My name is Onifred Baba once again, and I have my Monday guest in the studio. He's a political economist and also public affairs analyst, Dr. Anim Elias. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long while.
Yeah, we are back.
Yes. Well, so many things have happened. So much things have happened since you've been away. Of course, talking about coalition. Yesterday, they met at Abuja Continental to throw more lights to meet with the Northern Bloc, who in this case happens to be the bride they are trying to woo. And of course, we have all the political gladiators in the venue for that meeting.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
It's quite interesting, and
Yes.
this makes politics much more interesting when you see
Yes.
people coming together to actually take over the power. I saw Amici,
Yes.
but I did not see Rufai. I don't know. I
Yes,
looked
but there were
very
reports that he
closely.
was around. I have don't.
No, I
I
did
didn't
not see him, and trust media would have found a way to actually picture him. But it's a good one.
You don't have Abubakar
Yes,
Malami.
Malami. So most of them are there. But the interesting thing is that coalition is good, but then, remember it's temporary.
But however, the shocking part of it was that the former Jigawa State governor, though, he actually took a stance.
Lamido.
Yes, to that coalition, but his son was in attendance because Jigawa. We were told that the Jigawa representatives almost caused chaos during the meeting because another representative was called upon to talk on their behalf, and the son of the former governor said, "No, we are here."
I think the son has grown enough to actually choose a party to identify with. It could also be a mole, by his father. So, and that's it. But I'm happy they actually came together yesterday. But I hope they will do more to actually have a good, definitive approach to it. And we're happy we saw Peter Obi alongside his ex president to be then. Atiku Abubakar. It's a good one because if you don't have a robust opposition, it will be a smooth ride for the current administration. As you can see, they're also trying to rally more people into their party. But if you have a good opposition, that would have given them much more tough. And I do not see Utomi.
Okay.
I don't
no,
think
he's
I
not in
saw
town. He has not. He's not in the
He's
country
not in the
for now.
country,
Yes.
okay.
Of
So-
course, the DSS is already waiting for him.
All right,
His,
to actually ask you
shadow
questions.
government, on transit. However, still on the coalition talks, it's one thing to meet and it's another thing to agree on the consensus.
Right.
Because we have these, I refer to them as gladiators. They were at least opposition leaders in their various parties contesting for one ticket as president of this great country. So what is going to happen at the end of the day? Will they agree? Will they unanimously? Will some share their, their ambition to say, okay, for us to remove Tinubu in 2027?
I think for
I'm
now
going to step down.
we have a precedent, and a precedent in APC. Remember, APC came from AC, ANPP. A lot of them came together. So in that case, the precedent is there. The only thing is, my fear is that then PDP was not strong enough to put more into their midst. But in this point, I'm sure APC will not also open their eye to let them to search. But it's possible if they have that interest. And the major problem is that the quest for power. The person they were going to agree to present as president will determine if they will actually agree. So if they agree is Atiku, there will be trouble because the Southerner will say no.
No, it's our turn.
If they don't agree on
the Southern will say they have to complete their turn.
Right. So if they agree on Obi, I think that could be a smooth ride to an extent.
Obi will sign for one.
Well, I wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. But I know the Northern that I know, if at all they agree with Obi, they are still waiting for him in 2031. That's how it's going to be. But the fact is, can they even unseat this president?
Given the fact that many people are defecting into the ruling.
Well, the argument is that it should be Tinubu against Nigeria, against the citizens. So, but the question is, what about the structure?
That's exactly what Magide said, that it will be 2027, it will be APC and hungry Nigerians. Now, still talking about the issue of defection, we had on video from the governor, not former governor of Akwa Ibom, calling on his political appointees to defect with him to APC, and failing to do that, they should resign, and it was captured. However, fallout of that is that he has barred Chinese television crew from his government house press. Why is that so?
So if you bar Chinese television, the next time you bar which of the station, the thing is, it shows how intolerant he is.
Yes.
Because if you are moving from PDP to APC, you still have the structure of PDP. That's why he has forgotten. Because he's the one there. I just move, so he can maintain this true structure. For a good politician, we still maintain his good structure that they cannot even do anything. But this now, he even came openly. That shows how weak he is politically, because we don't need to get to that level, and now he's banning a strong media house that will still have their way in terms of to get their news. In as much as you allow other news agents, they're still going to get their news. Perhaps you also lose credibility. You lose publicity, because they would have been doing some publicity for you on the free ride, and that shows how this government is actually operating, even right from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They are not tolerant enough.
And the question also begging for answer is the fact that these governors, when they defect, or as they are threatening to defect, what about the people's will? Don't the people matter?
Well, I think our electoral law,
that they have just one vote. Why the people?
Even beyond that, our electoral law is quite faulty. Until we be able to question you when you are in our party, you decide to defect. We said the mandate belongs to the party, because in that, if that will be the argument, people like Sheriff of Delta will be in trouble by now. You will know that there is a strong case in court that can actually upturn or what have you. But the thing is, it's a smooth ride for them. Once you move, they believe that nobody will question.
But what about the 2027 election?
Well,
it just means that when they move, the people automatically move.
I think most of the South people are in their first term. Am I correct? Most of all the governors.
Yes, most of all the governors.
Yes, so they are calculating that if they did not go to APC, they may likely not succeed. Look at the case of Sheriff and Nwagige.
But let's still go to PDP.
Right.
Yes, Delta State, sorry, as you mentioned that. We saw a situation whereby the immediate past governor of the state was on the ticket for presidential in 2023 with Atiku Abubakar, and the state did not vote for him. Remember, Peter Obi won in that state. Labour Party won presidential. However, during the governorship, they voted for.
Yes, I think.
So what does that tell you?
I'm actually happy, because that simply shows that Nigerians are maturing in terms of voting and politics.
Yes.
And it's dangerous for Tinubu also. That exposition is the dangerous thing for Tinubu. Now, you know why? That means in 2027, we will now choose who they will vote for.
And now that the government going to APC,
people can still decide to vote for a PDP person.
Exactly.
Because traditionally those things are PDP.
What I just brought up.
Exactly. And that's why they want to kill the structure of PDP outrightly. in a place like Akwa Ibom. Because if they still leave that structure, people can still decide that we are PDP. We can still vote for a PDP person. So for me, let them not jubilate yet. It's not Uhuru yet.
All right. We even saw a trending video where the former governor was telling his people, meeting them, that he has defected, and they were shouting, no, 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 no. In other words, you saw the video.
Wow.
In other words, they were not in support of his
of what he did. So, and that's it.
APC.
So
that's first already doomed.
It simply means that it's personal aggrandizement that made them to go in that direction. People didn't get the followers, the concept. And remember, in politics, it's also good. People say yes to you, and what they are going to do is different. So that's what the game that is going to happen. So I that's why my pain is that let PDP get their house at least ready to an extent.
Because
if they can do that, they have more opportunity. But this is also opportunity for Labour Party. I wish they can get themselves where people who can shift and say no, let's go to Labour outright.
Right. Now moving ahead, before we go to leadership leading story today, we are still talking business. The Guardian says despite 7 trillion naira subsidy savings, states fail to cushion hardship, hunger, and the story runs on page 6 of the Guardian today. Really, we've seen situation in this present administration that the actually fact allocation this time is higher, is enormous compared to what they were getting in the past. And one begins to wonder, what are these states, what these funds have translated to in the lives of the citizens they are governing?
Well, for me, I think it's quite cosmetics, because that you get much more money does not mean the value is there. That's number one argument for the governors. So you may get your FAC increase from 100 million to 200 million. It does not mean that the value that's going to bring will solve. Another thing is that citizens should be wary. Most of these governors are doing their own personal project, and that's where I have issue with Mr. President. Mr. President does not have a direct economic future plan. So if he has plan, he should have said, okay, you remember during Obasanjo, we have need, we have seed, we have lead. So that will show that if I'm giving you money, I expect you to channel it to agriculture, so percentage. Because if you tell them to channel it to a particular area, it may not be constitutional, but there's a way you can persuade them to give them. And by the time, before you know, that area of agriculture will expand. And the promise that Tinubu made for us in 2023 that he declared instead of managing of food security would have reflected by now that there's a focus on particular area. But now you give them money, some of them will go and construct a road where it is not needed.
It's not needed.
Because constructing road now becomes where people can make money.
Yes.
Because
and they are building airports in a state that is not viable.
I wonder, even my state, I was wondering, I don't know what you want to use airport to do. When you have a rich neighbor like Abuja, like a tap, you understand? Yes, exactly. It's funny.
What about Nasarawa? Although Nasarawa is a cargo.
Let's even go to cargo. Can the state build a cargo airport? I can tell you, I doubt it. Cargo is too big for a state to say you want to. Kano was trying it. Even they were trying to partner with Dangote, that would have solved the problem. It's government response. And that's why up to now, Nigeria does not have one cargo airport. Because we are submitting it to states, whereby government is supposed to take lead so that we can export most of our crops down to for exportation.
All right, we move to leadership newspaper leading story today. 2 shutdowns of Harcourt Refinery in 5 months raise questions. And in another report, they said the marketer said that the refinery never actually refined a single crude one day. Like just propaganda.
Well, it's quite saddening, and mainly Kyari is not in the.
And protests against him has continued to
because a lot of things has come, though under his leadership, a lot of things comes to be. But the fact means that it's as if they are deceiving us on the issue of a refinery. Because how can you have 2 shutdowns within so period? Perhaps what is the even level of the production? We are even thinking, okay, Kaduna will come on board, not knowing that the one that you did does not really. But I'll take the blame back.
Sorry, EFCC was carrying out investigation about the former MDs of the refineries, and it was alleged that 2 billion naira was found in one of the accounts of the MDs. Well, and nothing has been heard.
The fact means that you recall, I listened to Zio that said, maybe in the publication that people are sending petition that they should call Mele Kyari for questions, and they have listened to people and they are now asked. That simply means that there was no intention intention to do that. So it could be to satisfy the curiosity of Nigerians. That's why they're actually carrying out. So, but by and large, I want to blame President Muhammadu Buhari. Not to stop us from having new refinery. That would have solved the
because
problem.
we are sinking so much money into
And
rehabilitation.
privatize this one.
Yes.
Because we have refinery for good 8 years. At least within 4 years, you can have. If
It will not be
Dangote can,
wrong.
I mean, Dangote can have refinery. So it's better you have fresh one that will know that for the next 10 years, production, will continue.
And the
I don't know.
capacity is even small.
It's
I don't know
small.
why
I
they are
don't
even
know.
thinking.
So for
why
me,
they are not thinking
why can you
about
go and even be refurbishing old thing that cannot give you the contemporary need? So at this point in time, Tinubu has to rethink. Will he continue to invest in this moribund refinery, or change his direction, or they privatize it? Because it cannot be on the private hand and it will be collapsing like this. They will have seen it before coming, because they'll be much more proactive in this case.
All right, thank you so much. Now, lastly, we're looking at national economy. This week's leading story says customs duty rates, vehicle clearance cost rises by 235% in 8 months, while importation drops by 50%.
It is quite expected. Who will buy new car? Who will buy Tokubo car now?
No.
And the apology is that there should be a trade-off. So if, as they are increasing this, there are more manufacturers in Nigeria, we would have said, oh, because they want this manufacturing in Nigeria to actually, if because they are doing this, we now see Inosi Moto in their convoy, we'll be happy. Because I listened to Inosi himself. The cheapest car he has is 23 million.
The cheapest car?
Yes, he said it on TV. I watched it. The cheapest car of Innocent
Then,
is 23 million.
Going to,
so I don't know how it's going. I don't know how it's going to work. And now to buy a small car, you'll be spending like 8 million to clear one car. So I don't know how the economy they are putting, and the custom is declaring profits at the detriment of people. So I don't know. Now importation dropped by 50%, and people cannot afford, and 235 rise. That's quite alarming.
It's high.
It's quite alarming. I don't know what president is doing. Now, this is fiscal policy. They don't know. We always look at monetary policy to solve our problem. This is fiscal policy that is causing problems. As the monetary is working on it, the fiscal is taking it back. And trade policy is also dying. So these are the problems we have. So you cannot continue. They must work hand to hand. This is a danger. This is the recipe for...
they've been reducing the customs rates ever since. Sometimes, they increase. They keep increasing. They keep increasing.
Right. So the thing is, in fact, the point they want to even increase FOB, free on board, until they have to caution. Maybe that will increase to 300%. I don't know. It's because the quest to make more money. That's what this government is actually doing to us. Government want to rake in more money. The custom person is being salute. You have made more money, and at the detriment of people, and the economy is collapsing. But this is the economy, this survival of some people. Not only cars, other commodities. If I go to Seme Border, nothing is happening there. It is dry. There was a documentary I watched on it, in the sense that it even said no petrol station should be there. Maybe it's 100 kilometers. A lot of conditionalities that make that place now a shadow of its former self. It's a serious issue, and until government now rethink that, you don't get money at the expense of it, because you are going to spend the money in the long run the other way. Remember, upon this, forex is not still cheap, and you are still increasing up to this level. I don't know why we are adamant on continuous increment and detriment of citizens.
Well, that's very, very sad. Well, viewers, thank you so much for keeping faith with us. On this note, we come to the end of today's Inside Nigeria. Don't forget, tomorrow, same time, same station, is another date. However, it's been a pleasure having you on the program, Dr. Aliu Elias. My name is Winifred Webo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.